Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talkin Nets, episode 68. It took us a minute to get here today, but never mind that. The snow is falling. I love to see the snow fall. Tis the season, tis the holiday season. I got my guy Hudson Flynn on the other side. Where are you at? You're in upstate New York. You're upstate somewhere. I forget the
Yeah,
town.
I'm all the way upstate, Albany, state's capital, loving it.
So what's the
Getting
snow like? What is it snowing hard up there yet?
nah, we're getting it tonight. We're getting it tonight. We're getting about a foot tonight. It's gonna be the real deal, the real snow. But listen, I'm excited just to get snowed in and watch some Nets basketball and enjoy my last weekend without regular season Nets basketball.
Man, what a time. That's really it. Like when we were coming into this pod today, I'm like, yo, these are the last couple pods before it gets real. Actually, this is the last pod before it gets real. We got a surprise coming in this pod, but I won't speak too much on that. And I won't waste too much time. We're already a minute and 15 in or so. Let's do this thing. Starting off with what's new. Talking about NBA news, NBA rumors, NBA Twitter headlines and conversation. First off, the preseason started right after our last episode came out on Thursday, December 10th. Preseason kicked off Friday night, December 11th. The NBA is back on our TV. People are watching actual NBA basketball in the arenas and not the bubbles or not the bubble. I'm just happy to see these players back like Steph. Obviously, we're going to talk KD, Kyrie, but not too much. John Wall. Like, I'm talking about other players across the league coming back, Boogie being out there on the floor. I'm just happy that the NBA figured out how to restart this quickly. And it's like, yo, we're going right back into a new season. What were you thinking looking at some of these highlights and some of these stories that came out this weekend around the NBA?
Man, just like you, I'm excited to see these players back on the court, back playing. I'm done with the rumors. I'm done with the NBA fall, the NBA offseason. That was all fun. That was all whatever. But now it's the real deal. Now it's put up or shut up. Now it's like, let's see what these teams are actually going to be. And, across sports, there's always like, oh, it's preseason and you don't learn too much. You don't know what you're seeing. You're only seeing like a lot of the bench guys, the rookies, what's up with them. But I don't know, at least for me, and we're going to go through some of the games that we thought were interesting, some of the things we thought were interesting just across the league. But for me, I think I learned a lot about a lot of the teams. I learned a lot about a lot of the players. And like I said, I'm just excited to see them back on the floor, back playing basketball, and back ready to talk about real basketball, not LA workouts, not who's getting traded, not who's getting drafted, real basketball.
Yeah, it's real. These guys are there. They're in their arenas. That's the first thing I'll say. I just love seeing these guys back on their individual courts, like their team courts. Not to knock the bubble because the bubble was great, but we've never seen that in the NBA. We're used to seeing the team logos of the home team in the center of the court. It's great. Steph Curry in the Chase Center, the Warriors' new place. This guy is shooting from the 200 level and making buckets. I thought that was dope to see. LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball's out there making highlight reel passes, no look dishes. He put up 0 points, had a few turnovers. Melo is gonna mellow. But yeah, let me think. I know I had a few more. Like I said, John Wall. I said Boogie. Oh, John Morant up to his old tricks. We got a highlight out of him last night. The Warriors played again. They playing the Kings and the Kyle Guy. Where'd he go? UVA.
He's a UVA guy.
Yeah, he's a
UVA guy.
UVA guy. Buzzer beater to win it. No fans in there. It was kind of eerie because it's like a buzzer beater like that. Even in the preseason, you see the fans roar, but no fans. And then, talking about it being the preseason and no fans, like KD spoke on that. And I don't want to do too much KD talk, Nets talk, because we'll do that later in the pod. But with the preseason, right? After the Knicks played on the first night, I had to stop myself because the Knicks official Twitter was like, Knicks fans, how we feeling after last night? Like they got that first win. And I quote tweeted it from Talkin Nets. And I was like, yo, it's preseason. I deleted that tweet maybe 3 seconds after because I was like, wait, when the Nets have their first preseason game, I'm not going to be acting like it's preseason because it's going to be the return of Kevin Durant to the NBA. So let me not poke fun at them when we're going to be doing the same thing.
Nah, but we did the same thing, and obviously we'll get there. but there's a lot to see, a lot to like. Obviously, you love seeing all the stars get back, as much as, the Houston Rockets aren't exactly being talked about for their basketball right now. It was cool to see John Wall come out and look like he hasn't lost at least too many steps. Boogie Cousins come out, him playing. It's just great to see. It's great to talk about. And I'm just excited to see it when it really matters. But everyone who says that it doesn't really matter, there's things that you can take away from it that matters. We're Nets fans. We took away number 11, Keith wearing the new throwback retro Kyrie Irving jersey. Number 7 coming out and him playing for the first time. It's just exciting. It's great to see. And man, let's just get into it, Keith. Let's talk about all of it.
Yeah, so it's real. And Vegas has put out their odds for MVP. And at the top is one Luka Doncic. And I think Luka's got a good shot at it. But obviously, I'm a homer. And there's a guy that's definitely going to win comeback player of the year, but could also steal MVP in KD. Now, I'll go through the odds real quick and we'll talk about some things. So Luka is plus 400. Steph Curry is plus 800. LeBron James is plus 900. Giannis Antetokounmpo is plus 450. Yeah, plus 450. I had to look twice at that. Like, okay, he can't be that far behind Luka. We'll talk about him in a second. AD is plus 900. Kevin Durant is plus 1200. Man, shout out to Mike from the Glue Guys. I was listening to the Glue Guys, and Mike was talking about how he put $100 on KD to win it with plus 1200. Those are good odds. What are you thinking about the MVP this year? I feel like it might be somebody we're not even thinking of. I think there might be a dark horse. Like the thing about MVP, 2 things. You got to get buckets. You got to be a scorer. You're not going to win MVP off defense. And your team has to win. Like, your team has to play well for you to get even in the MVP conversation. So who are you thinking some dark horses could be, or who do you just flat out think is the favorite, Hudson?
I mean, you said they got to be able to score. They got to be on a winning team. I'm thinking of someone that just so happens to have the same odds as Paul George. Playoff, missing all those shots, getting game winners hit on him. Plus 8,000 odds, $100 wins you $8,000. Who is it? Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into it later. But oh boy, I know the media don't like him too much. I know there's a lot of stuff that people like to say about your favorite Kyrie Irving. But man, we watched him play in the preseason, and last season when he was healthy, he shot 83% in the wake of Kobe Bryant's passing, putting up 53 points. Oh my God. This man, people are forgetting because people like to talk a lot of crap about him. He can play basketball, and plus 8,000 odds. You know what? Throw $10 on that. You're making a lot of money. Just do what you got to do to put money on that, because plus 8,000 odds, that's a steal.
Yeah. So like when I screenshot this and put it in the notes, I stopped it right at Kyrie Irving. And like Hudson just said, Paul George and Kyrie Irving are the same odds. They're not even close, in my opinion. Kyrie's going to have the ball a lot. Kyrie, you know what? Watching the game, and we'll talk about our reaction from the game, but I felt like just watching that first preseason game, Kyrie was like, let me remind y'all, like, what I actually do. Not Instagram, not emails, not like clippings about the media or pawns. I do this, and this is my art. And you are about to see it on full display. I'm healthy now. I got my squad now. It's our world, Nets world. I was like, hey, no matter what they say about Kyrie, when he gets out on that floor, he gets buckets. And another guy that gets buckets just signed a super max. And I was super pumped to see this. Giannis staying in Milwaukee. Giannis signs the super max with the Bucks. Hudson, what are you thinking about our chances in the East? Are we beat for the next 5 years? Are we never going to get to the finals in the next 5 years because Giannis is going to be going there?
Giannis is going to be there. Giannis can 5-peat. He can do whatever he wants with the MVP. He's not getting past the whole team in the Brooklyn Nets. He's a great player. He's an amazing player. He might be the best player in the NBA. Before the playoffs, we had conversations talking to him about him like he was the best player in the NBA just based on the regular season. He can keep doing that, but guess what? He doesn't have a team around him. And, we saw a lot of examples where it takes a team, it takes depth, it takes all that stuff to really be able to win in the NBA. One man can't do it alone. And as much as I'm happy for him, he got his money, and I'm glad he got his money, something like 260 some $1 million guaranteed to him. He deserves every penny of it. I just don't think he can do it. I don't think he can get past a whole team that the Brooklyn Nets have.
Me either, bro. And like I like him and Damian Lillard's mentality of like not ducking the grind, staying in the town that drafted them, building there, even though they both play in small markets that are not attractive to other NBA players like Portland and Milwaukee. But I like it because Giannis is staying put. And we obviously know KD and Kyrie have this 3-4 year window in Brooklyn. And I just think it's like this, bro. He's already got 2 MVPs. I don't think he's going to win another MVP. And I also don't think that this new team they have around him is going to vault him into the finals all of a sudden. I think they have to take at least this year to mesh and get together and figure things out. And I think there's going to be some problems later on because Giannis is probably going to keep playing his game and keep trying to get to the finals the way that he's failed in the past. And then you're going to need these guys like Drew Holiday to step up and some of these other guys around him. But I don't fear the Bucks. I don't fear Milwaukee. I was pumped to see that he was staying and signing the Supermax. And to me, I think it's also correlated and related to James Harden in some way. It is because one of the trade stops or one of the selected destinations for James Harden was the Milwaukee Bucks. It came up in rumors after they moved off of the Nets. It was like Philly, the Bucks, and someone else with the Nets. And everybody this week is talking about your boy James Harden, fat boy James Harden. My dude comes out with the braids, the beard, the signature beard, and the belly.
He came out with the belly. He came out with the belly.
He came out repping BBB, Big Baller Brand. The braids, the beard, the belly. Yo, I don't know why people just like get at these athletes like this. Like they act like these guys aren't super athletic and in shape almost all year. I didn't expect him to be in the greatest shape. I'm glad the Nets didn't trade for him looking kind of pudgy out there. But all in all, man, talking about James Harden, the saga continues. He still wants out of Houston, they say. I actually watched the clip of Steven Silas talking about how, yeah, I met with James and we talked strictly about basketball, what we control. We don't control all the other stuff, the business stuff. And he played last night, Tuesday night. Everybody on Twitter was roasting him. Shout out to Talkin Jake. Talkin Jake threw out his side-by-side from him playing basketball, looking kind of chubby with Harden. And Harden played 21 minutes, had 12 points, went 3 for 10 shooting with 3 turnovers and one really bad one where the ball hit him in the chest because he looked like he was just like asleep. I don't know what was going on there. What'd you think about Harden before we say anything else about Mr. James Harden? What'd you think about seeing Harden return? I guess it's part of the saga, right? He like held out and then he showed up to practice and then he cleared COVID protocol. Now we actually see him back in a Rockets uniform like we've seen him the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people are going to clown him for his weight, but like only sometimes because in the practice photos that leaked out, he looked like normal James Harden, with the big arms and the tight belly. But I don't know. I mean, he played basketball. He didn't play the best of his games. He certainly didn't look sharp. He looked like he'd been partying a little bit, but it's James Harden. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that he's not going to continue to be James Harden. He's not going to fall off some kind of cliff. He's not doing that. He's not going to be Jamarcus Russell. He's not going to go from top player, top prospect, gets a little too big, puts a little too much weight on, can't do much of anything. That's not going to happen to James Harden. But what I thought was interesting with what you said right there was him talking to Silas, talking about things that they can control. Just this morning, Wednesday, December 16th, when we're recording this podcast, a report came out that James Harden did have the final say on everything with the Rockets. Player moves, personnel decisions, front office stuff. So what can they control? Who's in charge there? I don't know. I don't know if it's Silas. I don't know if it's, any of the GMs that they've had while he was there. I don't know. No, he's not in total control because if he was in total control, he'd already be out of there by now.
Facts. You pulled out a Jamarcus Russell reference. LSU. He was on the lean. And he definitely got fat and ate himself out of the league. But I was thinking Harden is more like another LSU guy, Glenn Big Baby Davis, looking kind of pudgy out there on the court. But yeah, bro, I saw that too, right? I think I put the link in the notes after you added that. Like, let me read from this post that was on Instagram today. And it says, if they have multiple days off, everybody knows James is going to fly somewhere else and party, but he's going to come back and have a 50-point triple-double. So they're okay with it. Harden had a say in Rockets personnel moves and travel. Harden pushed the Rockets to upgrade every offseason and had final say on travel and practice schedules. He called the shots on both roster and coaching personnel moves. What? Like, he's basically LeBron in them. And that makes sense because he's their MVP and he's the guy, he's their whole franchise. But, like, do we not see what happens in the NBA when guys like LeBron, Kawhi, Harden have special treatment? Now, LeBron is different. LeBron is the king. Like, he's literally the king. So he can get that off. But some of these guys like Kawhi and Harden, when you don't win, you can't get that off. And then that information about you leaks in the media. And then people are looking at you like, yo, you're getting all this special treatment. It's a team. It's supposed to be a team game. But yeah, another interesting spin on this. And we'll probably close it after these remarks before we get into our next part of the pod. I thought it was particularly interesting, and so did folks on Nets Twitter. I thought it was particularly interesting that James Harden ducked the media, and people didn't make as big of a fuss about that as they did with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's been in practice. He's been in the building. He's been a model teammate. James Harden didn't speak to the media yesterday after practice and didn't speak today at shoot around. If he doesn't speak after tonight's game, it's likely to say he's gone full Kyrie. That's a tweet from Clutch Fans on Twitter. Not to give them a shout out, but that's where I got the tweet from. And it's like, exactly, right? So now they're saying he's going full Kyrie. But like, just when you don't expect it, guess who talks to the media? And guess where he starts talking to the media? I don't know if I feel like we didn't talk about this on the last pod because it all kind of transpired like Thursday into Friday. Then he had the live with KD on Saturday, sitting with Kai. I feel like we didn't talk about it. But like, Kyrie was very specific about like the pawns comment and what he said about the money, like in his Instagram post, his Instagram story post. But I knew, and I don't think I said it on record, and I don't think we recorded it on the pod, I knew that he was just specifically talking about some people, not everyone in the media, not you, David Aldridge, not you guys at The Athletic or wherever, certain pawns, certain people.
Definitely not the local beat reporters.
Definitely not. Winfield, Shifter, Lewis, like all the guys that on Nets Twitter that you see us retweet on Talkin Nets Twitter. He wasn't talking about those guys, and he did sit down with Michael Grady for that. Like, I watched it on YouTube, Brooklyn Nets YouTube. He's not going to duck the Nets, and he's not talking about the Nets being pawns. But I also said to what's his name? Alex Sturm. My bad. I'm butchering your name, Alex. I'll find it on Twitter right now so I get it right. Because we were kind of talking about this on Twitter, not on the pod. He's a follower of us, but he's just like is it Alec? He's a young cat. He's a writer.
I think it's Alex Sturm.
Alec Sturm. Sorry, Alex Sturm. I owe you one. You're not following us anyway. I just realized. So actually, bloop. That's an unfollow. Yeah, so I'm talking to this kid and he's defending the writers because he's a young man that wants to become a writer, whatever. And I said to him, like, yo, like, he wasn't like talking personally to one person. Like we had a whole back and forth on it. What'd you think about Kyrie? Well, what'd you think about Harden ducking the media? Then people saying he's going full Kyrie. Then voila, all of a sudden Kyrie is doing his medias.
Listen, aside from the clown David Aldridge type posts, which were stupid, incompetent, dumb all the way around. That was one of the worst statements I've ever read in my entire life. People were getting on Kyrie saying he's a distraction, saying all of his off-court antics are going to make the Nets bad. What they say about James Harden, they said he can go to Vegas, he can go party in between games, but they know he's going to come back and drop 50 points. It doesn't sound like Kyrie gets that same courtesy because somehow, even when Kyrie spends his off time donating to the community, giving back $200,000 to the community, 200,000 meals, all this stuff, somehow that's still a distraction and somehow it's going to affect his basketball play on the court. somehow it's hurting the locker room. I don't know. I don't get it. Is there a double standard with Kyrie Irving? Do you think maybe the media and a lot of players or a lot of people around that treat Kyrie Irving differently than other players? Because it's starting to seem like it, Keith.
Yeah, I think Kyrie baited a lot of these media people into this shit, and I love it. I think Kyrie knew what he was doing, and he got some people to kind of, jump out and say some things. Speaking of one Stephen A. Smith, who had a take today that I was just like, we don't even need to talk about it. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, I will play Stephen A. Smith's stupid comments, his stupid take, and then we'll talk more about it. But give us a second because we got something coming. Oh, yeah, we're right back at it with a special guest on Talkin Nets, episode 68. Our guy, number 14, Reggie Perry. Reggie Perry. Hey, what's up, Reggie?
What's poppin', man?
Not much, brother. Talkin Nets. My name is Keith McPherson. This is Hudson Flynn. This is episode 68. We appreciate you coming on. What are you up to right now? You trying to duck out of the snow?
Yeah, bro. Just getting ready for this cold winter we finna have. I'm just chilling right now, though.
Georgia. I know you're a Georgia boy. The snow up here is a little different.
Yeah, it's a lot of different, actually. It's been freezing the past couple of days I've been out here.
Yeah, you'll get used to it. I see you got a nice jacket on.
Yeah, I just came from out of there.
You were just at the facility practicing?
Yeah, yep.
So, all right, so let's get into it, man. What's up? First off, let's get some background on you. I just said you're from Georgia. We all know about Mississippi State. Obviously, we read your Wikipedia and all the stuff the Nets have put out. But coming from you, we want to know how you started playing basketball, what got you into the game, who inspired you, like, talk about the early days, like as a kid hooping, when you first picked up the rock, when you first got into organized basketball, like what was Lil Reggie thinking about and what motivated you to start this journey that you're on now, making it all the way to the NBA?
I mean, Lil Reggie was always, as soon as he picked up a ball, he was thinking about getting a bucket. So that's really what I was thinking about. I always had a dream of coming to the NBA, for sure. Got a lot more serious about it when I got in high school. But I mean, I started playing basketball around 4th grade, like officially. I grew up around basketball because my dad was always coaching and stuff like that. So I was always around the basketball at some point. So I just fell in love with the game, really. Ended up going to high school in Thomasville, Georgia, at Thomasville High, and had a good couple years there. Actually won a state championship and stuff like that there. So I'm glad I went there for sure. And then left Mississippi State, and went to Mississippi State. I mean, that was one of my best choices I felt like I've ever made.
Now, we obviously, like Keith said, we looked on your background a little bit. You had the connection to Mississippi State, right? Your dad, he went there, he played, and he was pretty good, right?
Right, yeah. He actually held records and assists for over 20 years. So, yeah, I definitely had a connection there. Just wanted to continue the legacy.
I mean, you definitely continued it, though. You all SEC first team, co-SEC player of the year. The accolades really kept coming for you in college. And then you got drafted by the Nets. And, before you came on the podcast, me and Keith were talking about, you can get drafted, to certain teams. You can get drafted to certain organizations that maybe aren't going in the right direction. But you got drafted to an organization that everyone's talking about, going in the right direction. You got KD, Kyrie, DeAndre Jordan, all these players. What's it like, being a rookie, your first couple of days just in the facility, practicing, in this organization that, isn't some kind of rebuilding organization. This is an organization with championship aspirations.
Right. I mean, this is one of the teams that, like, I actually wanted to come here, because I knew, like, they were heading in the right direction. I knew it was going to be opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Opportunity for growth, like on the court, opportunity to learn from vets and stuff like that. And also an opportunity at a chance to make a run in the playoffs. But that's why I definitely wanted to come here, just because of the teams, just because of the team what they have already here set up. It's funny because I actually didn't even expect New York to ever even draft me. I came here and worked out last year. And I probably had one of the worst workouts in my life for the team. So I never thought in the world that Brooklyn would draft me. But I mean, Sean Marks and them do a great job of just seeing the potential that players have.
Man, I mean, that one workout, they weren't judging you off that one workout.
Yeah,
they knew what they were looking at.
Yeah.
Yo, I feel like I'm a universe person, right? I feel like everything is connected, destined, written in the stars. And I mean, you talked about Mississippi State and your ties there. And then, Hudson and I were doing our notes, and he put in the notes, his father is from Harlem and he's got 2 uncles from Brooklyn. So you talk about not thinking that you were going to get drafted here. It was your destiny all along. Can you tell us a little bit about your fam that's from these parts? Obviously, a lot of our listeners are from Brooklyn, New York, New Jersey, these surrounding areas.
Yeah, so my dad's from Harlem. He grew up here his entire life, and all the way up to when he went up to Mississippi State. He actually came back, I think, and coached at LIU for a while. So I have a lot of family here. My uncles are here. 2 of my uncles stay in Brooklyn, actually. And a couple of my cousins stay here in Brooklyn. So, I mean, it's definitely, ties up here. I'm straight.
Yo, I love that. He's got the fam already in the borough. It sucks they can't come to the game, but I know they had to been pumped when they saw you get drafted by the Brooklyn Nets. I love that. Go for it, Hudson.
You got the support system off the court. That's what I love to hear. It's tough to go out somewhere new, dealing with the cold for the first time, all that kind of stuff. But, like I mentioned earlier, you have the support system on the court as well. Obviously, you're going to practice with, some of the greatest players to ever do it. And, you yourself, a big man, but a big man that can shoot. I think you shot some 32% from 3 your last year at Mississippi State. So has it been an impact on you to see, players like KD who can shoot from the outside and some other players to develop parts of your game, outside of just playing in the paint?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely been a big impact. That's part of my game that I've continuously worked on since high school and stuff like that. Just being able to have that package in my game, but just seeing how hard they work and what they do every single day. To continue to be able to shoot the ball how they do. So it's really helped out a lot.
Man, that's what you love to hear. But, ever since you came in, we've been hearing all positive things, whether it's from the organization, whether it's from scouts, everything's pointing to, obviously, we're Nets fans, the Nets got a big steal, taking you in the draft. And, some of the players on the team, obviously I mentioned KD, but DeAndre Jordan, he came out and he said that, you were, making a lot of strides in camp, playing really good, one of the biggest surprises, but he kept calling you Rook. He wasn't calling you Reggie. You think that's going to change? You think you're going to earn your first name back?
I'll probably get it back after my rookie year. I'll probably get it back next year.
That's good. But is it tight though in the locker room? Obviously, everyone's joking around, but is it a good locker room atmosphere, good chemistry?
Yeah, man. It's the locker room. It has great vibes. The entire staff have great vibes. The entire front office, they're all good people, cool people, great personalities and stuff like that. Everybody's really, really nice around the facility, so it's great.
Yo, so the next thing I wanted to ask you about, you got your first NBA game in, your first NBA bucket. I know there was no fans, but tell us about that experience. We all watched the first preseason game, and it felt bigger than a preseason game. The Yes Network did a great job covering it. Obviously seeing KD back on the court, but we were looking for you too. We saw your first shot go down. Welcome to the NBA. Just tell us, a little bit about what that night was like for you.
That night was surreal. I mean, I remember just I was sitting on the bench. I was sitting on the bench next to TLC, and I was like, yo, bro, I'm nervous. I was like, bro, you remember your first bucket? But, and then, it was a timeout when I actually checked into the game. So one of the coaches came up to me. He's always messing around me and stuff like that. He's like, yo, you going in? So I thought he was playing, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking he's joking. So I was like, yeah, whatever. And then Coach Nash came up to me and was like, yo, you going in. So, I mean, I was just thrown into the fire real fast. I wasn't expecting to get in that early, you know what I'm saying? But I'm glad after my first shot went down, all the nerves really went away.
Man, expect it. Be ready. This team has some depth, but like Hudson said, you're a big man that can shoot. Hey, we're looking to see more Reggie Perry. We're looking to see you get in and get more minutes. Would you have 16 minutes in the first preseason game? Hopefully you get some more minutes in Boston. I guess tell us, are you looking forward to going to TD Garden playing Boston this Friday? I guess, yeah, this Friday is coming up.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to all the games that we have. Just another great opportunity preseason, another great opportunity to just show what you can do and gain the coach's trust in these preseason games. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Definitely be able to look forward to playing in a gym, like a historic gym, you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And, something that a lot of Nets fans are wondering, you being a rookie, you're coming in, everyone's trying to get a read on you, know what to expect. What do you want to say to like Net fans? Like who is Reggie Perry and what are you going to bring to the court and like off the court as well?
I'm always bring hard work every single time. Just playing hard every single night on the court. Just know I'm gonna give it my all on the court all the time. Skill wise, you just gotta tune in and see. You never know what you're gonna get. But off the court, I mean, you're gonna see somebody that's in the community a lot, helping out with the community, and being a great leader.
Awesome. I got the next question. So you're in New York. I think obviously, you're home or you just came home from practice. How do you like Brooklyn? I'm assuming you live in Brooklyn or somewhere in the surrounding area. How have you been like getting adjusted to being, in the great state of New York or maybe New Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, I've been adjusting pretty well. The biggest thing is just getting used to this weather. This weather is crazy. Like these past couple of days have been really cold. But I've been loving every second of it.
That's awesome.
It's cold, but it's not really cold yet. It's like I think this morning I was like, okay, 27 degrees. We're starting to get cold, but like you don't want to get into the single digits. And it's coming for you, bro. It's coming.
Man, I feel that though, because I moved to the city, having not lived there before, and now I'm spending all my time. I go to school in the city. You actually only got a year on me. I'm only 19. Feels weird interviewing someone that's so close in age to me. But one of the weirdest things for me was like getting used to getting around and like the subway. So have you gotten used to it? You got your feet under, how to get around everything?
Yeah, I mean, I really walk everywhere, or my driver takes me. I still haven't tried out the subway yet.
Don't try out the subway. You don't have to try out the subway.
You're too tall for the subway. You're too big for them seats, and it's not the way. You could probably get a driver. You could probably drive yourself. Like if you don't have to get on the subway, don't do it for fun. I remember hearing like Joe Harris used to take the subway to the game because no one really would recognize him, just like a regular looking white guy. But I'm like, nah, no subway. I don't even get on the subway.
Plus, you're in Brooklyn. I mean, or I don't know where you're living, but if you got a driver, you gotta stay in that car. Nothing beats being able to driving around New York City compared to getting on that subway. But Keith, I'll throw it to you. What you got?
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up soon because we don't want to keep you too long. But here's a question I feel like everybody wants to know. Tell us a little bit about meeting KD, meeting Kyrie. Obviously, all the attention around the Nets are on those two guys, but we know it's a larger team. But what I feel like enough people or not enough people get is, the team talking about their relationship, the teammates speaking on them. Like we're tired of hearing what the media has to say. We're tired of hearing what reporters have to say. Like, I just want to hear Reggie Perry give his first impression of KD and his first impression of Kyrie and maybe share something from those like intro conversations.
Yeah, I mean, like both Kyrie and KD, they're great people. Like they're cool people like to be around, you know what I'm saying? So when I first met them, like like I was like starstruck, but at the same time, like they gave me the vibes, just like I'm just a hooper. I'm just a famous hooper. You know what I'm saying? So like they're all great people, cool leaders and stuff like good leaders and stuff like that. Cool to be around. But just meeting them, I mean, it was nice to meet them. Our relationships are pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah, they're solid. They seem like better guys than we're hearing about some of these other guys in the league that get special treatment, private jets, get to go where they want, get to show up late. Like I would bet that Kyrie and KD are setting a little different example, and I would expect them to be like you just said they were. So Hudson, you got it.
For sure.
You got anything else for Reggie?
I got one last question. This is a quick one. We saw your first preseason points. We saw you get that in, but your first NBA points, how do you think you're scoring? Is it going to be a 3 points? Is it going to be mid-range? Is it going to be a layup? Is it going to be a throwdown? What is it going to be?
It'll probably be a 3-pointer, to be honest.
Okay. That's what Nets fans want to hear. That's what Nets fans want to hear.
Playing off the ball, ready to knock down threes. Awesome.
Yeah,
man. All right, well, we're not going to hold him too long. He just got home from practice. We want this guy to rest up, get some food, get relaxed, and enjoy the rest of his night. It's a snow night, so watch all the snow pile up out your window, and then when you wake up tomorrow, you might not be going anywhere too quickly. It might be your first real blizzard snowstorm in New York. Hey, this has been Reggie Perry. This is Talkin Nets. Can't thank you enough for coming on, man. We look forward to seeing you out there, rooting for you. You'll see us on Twitter and Instagram repping you. The episode will come out tomorrow. Hudson, you got anything else, or are you signing off with me?
Man, I'm signing off with you, but Reggie, thanks for coming on. You're welcome, anytime. Obviously, a lot of people in that Nets locker room, sometimes they have some things to say about, whether they're going to talk to the media, but, we're not the media. If you ever have anything you want to say directly to the Nets fans, the community, I think we can be a great mouthpiece for you if you ever want to do that.
All right. Appreciate you guys.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Right back to the pod. Reggie Perry. I appreciate that. That is now. All right. So we had Justin Anderson on the pod. Justin Anderson is now with the Sixers. Wanted to come on the pod and wish him well. Wish him good luck this season. He was our first ever player, our only Nets player, but now he's not on the Nets. So effectively, Reggie Perry stands as our only Nets player, our second NBA player on the pod, a rookie. Man, what'd you think about Reggie, bro? I thought he was super cool, and I'm glad that he made the time to pop in for us.
No, he was cool. He was well-spoken. I'm just glad we had him on. It was cool. I think that was actually his first, outside of media day, outside of talking, in the press pool, stuff like that. That was his first interview as a pro, as a Net. And man, obviously we're honored to be able to have him on, to have that milestone with him. But, I think we should keep an eye on Reggie Perry. A lot of people after the draft said that he might have fallen because of some personality things. I don't see that. I saw a good, young, confident man that is going to do what he can in the community, do what he can for his team, and just be a hard worker on and off the court. And I couldn't be more thrilled with how that conversation went. I couldn't be more thrilled to watch him play on Friday against the Celtics in a preseason game, and then again versus the Celtics on the 22nd.
Yes, and the hope with this is that he goes back, and he talks to the team. And he tells TLC, yeah, bro, I was on a podcast last night called Talkin Nets. You should check them out. And then we hit up TLC, bring TLC on. And then TLC tells Joe Harris. And then, next thing you know, we make it through the whole way through the team.
What we want
and then we got KD and Kyrie. And now let's jump into what's Nets. We did what's new. We talked about the NBA rumors. And before, we got into the interview, I stopped talking. And what I wanted to talk about was one, Stephen A. Smith, and I'm going to play his comments for you about Kyrie right now.
I don't mean it the way that Kyrie would probably take it, but I hope he's listening when I say this. Somebody he respected and loved and idolized was Kobe Bryant. I don't think Kobe Bryant would be happy about some of the convoluted things that you just alluded to. And I only mean that respectfully towards Kyrie Irving in this sense. Whatever you have to say, be clear, as you said, Max. Not cryptic, not ambiguous or anything like that. Be clear. That's all I'm talking about when I talk about Kobe Bryant would be disappointed. Max Kellerman, you worked in L.A. We all know how I knew Kobe and the media knew Kobe. Kobe was one of the most articulate brothers, one of the most brilliant brothers you would ever find.
All right, hold up. Cutting that. A couple things, Stephen A. One, like, I've become a Stephen A. Smith hater because he is the top pawn at ESPN. Why do we have to go there? Like, I understand first take, you got to have hot takes and say some things that are going to create headlines, but why are we bringing up the dead, and why are you speaking on the dead, and why are you saying what someone that has passed in Kobe Bryant would say or feel or think? You don't know that. You don't know his relationship with Kyrie. As we all remember, right, when the news broke on Kobe, Kyrie left. Kyrie had a relationship with Kobe and Giannis. I thought that was lame, yo. And like, when Kyrie talks about pawns, he's definitely talking to you, Stephen A. Smith. You are a pawn, bro. Like, don't even do that. And, you know, he's telling Kyrie to be clear and to be direct. Yo, that's the opposite of a pawn. You don't control him. Kyrie is not a pawn. He's not listening to you. He's not taking your instructions on what to do. I just thought that was lame. I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I hope he didn't say this. And then our guy, Mr. Burn Notice, Talkin Nets fam, sent the link, and I was like, I'm going to play that on the pod.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not exactly a Stephen A. Smith hater. You know, I have a lot of respect for, you know, his grind. He spent like 30 years as a beat reporter covering the Sixers on his way up, you know, guy from New York City. I love all that. But first off, don't speak on the dead's behalf. That's just, you know, common courtesy. You just don't do that. You don't know what Kobe would have said to Kyrie. And again, I don't know Kobe's relationship with Stephen A. Smith, but I can all but guarantee it was a better relationship with Kyrie and Kobe than it is between Stephen A. Smith and Kobe. So I wouldn't even put that out there at all. Don't put that in the universe. And second, if you're going to say something, and this is just, you know, this is just me. I know I'm a young kid, but I've done a lot of public speaking. I've done, you know, some stuff at college, learning some things to say and some things to not say, you know, when you're making statements. And one of them is you don't preface your statement by saying the person you're talking to is going to take it wrong.
Right. Don't say
because
it.
then guess what happens? Then they're not listening, and then they don't care, because if you're going to come out and disrespect them with the first thing you said, then they're not going to listen. And why would they? Because you've already disrespected them. So to me, it's just, you know, bad journalism, bad TV, bad whatever you want to call it, just bad form, poor form. And I'm just happy, and I take solace in the fact that there is absolutely no way in hell Kyrie heard a single word of that sentence.
Right. Exactly how you said it. You preface it with that. Now I'm not listening. And now I'm only hearing the stuff that's going to set me off. And that's how I kind of went into it. Like, I went into it reading the quote and just waiting to hear it. And he tried to tap dance around it. Well, you know, Kobe was this and Kobe was that. And that's not how Kyrie is being. Maybe Kyrie's not trying to be exactly like Kobe, and you shouldn't speak on Kobe Bryant, Stephen A. Smith. I respect your grind and hustle as well. As a young black man in media and in sports, doing what you do, I've gotten comparisons to you, but I will never, ever be on ESPN or any platform talking like that. Like who wins in that? Nobody wins in that. There's no reason to say that. So let's lighten the mood up, man. Let's move on to some more Nets talk. Kyrie Irving did speak to the media. The biggest thing I got from Kyrie speaking to the media was Kyrie apologized for saying that Steve Nash, you know, like that, oh, the Nets don't need a head coach. Any night, any of us could be the head coach. He apologized to Steve Nash, and he also gave Steve Nash credit for what he's been doing. And like, I really think Steve Nash is going to work. I listened to Steve Nash's press conference. The Brooklyn Nets YouTube. Go to the Brooklyn Nets YouTube and watch all of these guys speak. And they're going to give you little nuggets, little trinkets, little things about the team and what's going on. And everybody is happy. Everybody is excited. Everybody is just ready to let their play on the court speak. But Kyrie spoke to the media. Anything that you got out of hearing Kyrie's first media availability, which was specifically for the Nets and our local reporters?
I'm going to say exactly what our friend and local Nets beat reporter Matt Brooks said. That was the best interview that anyone has given all season. It was an amazing interview. It was informative. It wasn't just blowing smoke. It wasn't anything. It explained any previous statement, anything else that anything, that any way it could have been taken. He said exactly what he said, and he meant exactly what he said. He cleared the air with the local Nets beat reporters. He said, listen, that's not about you. That's not what I'm talking about. That's you guys are all good in my book. And then he went out and he clarified another thing he said, made sure that no one misinterpreted anything he said about our coach and his coach. And then he just had a great time just answering questions and just having a great relationship. And this is one thing that I'm going to say about this and, the whole Kyrie Irving saga that we've seen since he arrived in Boston. I don't know any of the Boston beat reporters personally. I am absolutely thrilled and blessed to know some of the Nets beat reporters personally. We've talked to them on the podcast. They're great guys. And they're not going to say anything. They're not going to misquote him. They're not going to throw him under the bus. They're not going to do any of that bad journalism. So Kyrie has no reason to dislike them, and he doesn't, because Kyrie isn't insane. Kyrie isn't some enigma. He likes people that treat him right, and he will treat them right if you treat him right. It's the golden rule. And all of the people on the Nets beat, and also this gives me a chance to shout out Pooch and his new thing. He's working on the association. He's no longer a Nets beat reporter, but shout out to him for holding it down with the Nets for the past 7 years. He's been practically, the patron saint of Nets Twitter. But Kyrie's not going to dislike any of them because he has no reason to. And he showed that. And he showed that again and again and again, that he is just a genuine good person. And he reacts in situations the same way anyone else would react, and probably better if you have to deal with things like the disruptor, David Aldridge, saying he might not get awards, stuff like that. So I'm absolutely on board with what Kyrie did. And I hope, and I know, I really do know that Nets fans and real Nets fans, I'm not talking no fake Nets fans, are on board with everything that Kyrie is saying and everything that he is doing on and off the court.
Yeah, man, Kyrie's a good guy, and he's a well-spoken guy. People have actually said to me, like, you and Kyrie sound similar. I think it's just a educated black man from New Jersey type of thing. Like, we might have that similar tone in our voice. I don't think we sound alike. But I think Kyrie, when he speaks well. He gives insight. He gives information. But I think he just was trying to duck that national media scope that you get on media day. That's what I was trying to say to the kid, Alex Strum, on our Twitter. And I'm sure everybody is like following our Twitter that is listening to this podcast, but you got to follow our Twitter. That is where Hudson and I are both throwing out opinions and daggers. Most of the time I try and put KM next to my name so people don't, think it's Hudson talking or vice versa. But we're usually on the same page. But what I'm saying with that is, like, we already had these conversations about Kyrie and what was going on Twitter. We also had the conversations about the live stream. If you did not see Sitting with KD joins Kyrie. Karras first was with Kyrie. KD was late, but then KD jumps in, changes the whole thing. And I clipped that up. I put it on our Twitter. I put it on our Instagram. I put it on our Facebook. Go watch that and just see the dynamic between KD and Kyrie, how they really are. It literally just was like we were watching them two FaceTime. And also listen to what Kyrie is saying. Like, is deeper than rap. Like, listen to the words that are coming out of this man's mouth about his ancestors, about learning who he is, about what his purpose is, about art, about seeing things true, seeing things clear. Like, listen to what that man is saying before you judge him. He's literally giving us access to his life. Like, I didn't know he paints. He had this whole thing set up where he paints. And like, come on, man, this is one of the best basketball players in the NBA, showing you that he sits crisscross applesauce, as Karis LeVert was saying. He sits crisscross applesauce, burns incense, paints, and like connects with his like chakras or some shit. Like, I'm cool with that. I'm just fine with that. He could be doing a lot worse. You could hear about him shooting up a place. You could hear about him beating his spouse. We don't hear that. So give this guy a break. He's not.
You could hear about him jetting off to Vegas in between games.
Right. You can
we
hear
wanna
about him
make a
going on a
direct
gambling spree in
comparison.
Atlantic City. You can hear him like we could go through all the different things we heard. Like Kyrie's not a bad guy, man. They try and make him the bad guy because they're butthurt over some things that went on in the past. But let's fast forward a little bit here. No, let's not fast forward a little bit here. This is what I want to do for the next 5 minutes, and then we'll try and wrap this thing up. Let's talk about that first preseason game, right? I feel like I haven't been able to project what I actually felt and thought. Now it's been a couple days, but I'll pass it to Hudson because I'm long-winded and I want to think about almost everything I thought and saw and felt in that first preseason game. And we'll talk about it because I'm sure there's a bunch of people listening to this podcast that wanted to either hear this conversation or have this conversation. Now you're in on our conversation. Hudson, what were you thinking and feeling when you saw the ball tip off? I mean, I know because Hudson tweets from Talkin Nets during the game. He covers the game on our Twitter. So you're getting Hudson's, like as he's clipping the game, you're getting Hudson's reaction and raw emotion. And he was going in almost to the point where I was like about to say, bro, chill, it's a preseason game. But I'm like, nah, I feel the same way.
Listen, what I'm doing, I'm just matching the energy that Nets Twitter is putting out. And why wouldn't they have that energy? And Keith, you could have said that to me, but you know what? We're 50-50 partners here. I would have kept that energy moving because it's KD playing for the first time in 552 days. We did not know what he was going to look like. He could come out and look like slow-ass DeAndre Jordan, who I will get to. He came out and he looked like who? He looked like KD. He didn't look like anybody else. He looked like KD. Like instead of, tearing his Achilles, he just went to the locker room and was like, nah, I'm good. And went back out and kept playing that game in the finals, that game 5. He looked like he was back. He came out and he said, oh, I'm back with a dunk. He let everybody know. He did a little shimmy. He started driving. Everyone got out of the way because that's KD. And obviously, we had the KD scoring effectiveness. He went 5 for 12, I think. He had some like 15 points. He only played one half and a little bit of change. But, man, I was just so excited to see him play and see him put in that good work and to just think, man, he's back. He's back. And, again, those, what was it, plus 1,000 odds on KD winning the MVP? That's a steal. Throw $10 on that. Set it and forget it. And you know how I know? You know how I'm so confident I can make that? He showed his commitment because what he did was he took a charge in a preseason game against the Washington Wizards, against some player that's probably never going to play in the league again. I don't know who it was. I could be saying that about, Davis Bertans. Who knows? But he took a charge, and it was the real deal. He got into the game. He is putting it on the line for his team. Do you think a player that is coming off a major injury and is scared and is worried and, feels like he might not be the same player in practice, steps out and takes a charge in a preseason game? No, he does not. You know what? I know people who played high school basketball who didn't do anything after high school that thought they were too good to take a charge in a preseason game. But KD's different. And Keith, I'll let you talk about that because I have more stuff I want to say about the rest of the game. But KD's back.
KD is different is exactly what I was thinking. I just went into my notes and I had some voice notes. But first I want to play my boy Dane, DBM, the beautiful monster. He was on one of the early episodes. You'll see him again. He was with me in the live stream. Like, this is how you know one of your homies that's a Nets fan is feeling like you're feeling. Honestly, the game came on and like I have Fubo and I was planning on just watching it on NBA TV because I was watching Red Zone. So I was like, all right, bet I'll just flip over from Red Zone to NBA TV. We don't have Yes Network on here. Then when I turn NBA TV and it's blacked out, I'm like, oh no. And I haven't been watching the Yes Network because as a Yankee fan, I've been trying to just like not watch Hot Stove because I just don't like, just like last year with Garrett Cole, I'm like, yo, hit me up when the deal is done. I don't want to go back and forth on all this DJ stuff. So I didn't have Fox Sports Go on my Apple TV, had to download it, had to get my mom's login for the cable steal. And it took me a few minutes to even get the game up. But my guy Dane called me and like, this is what a Nets fan sounds like as he sees Kevin Durant returning to the NBA for his team.
Are you watching the game, Keith? You watching KD? I can't believe you out there. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So
It's crazy.
I cut it there. He's like my boy Dane called me like, yo, you watching the game, Keith? You see KD? I can't believe he's out there. It's crazy. And that's how I felt too. And I'll talk quickly about like what I really felt. Because in my notes, it's really just aesthetics, right? They open up, boom, Barclays Center. You see the outside. Then they have Sarah Kustok in like a bright purple dress, like a light purple dress, like almost a pink. Then they got Ryan Ruocco in like a dark purple, almost navy blue suit. It's like royal. It's elegant. Then they show you the court. We changed the court this year. That gray court is gone. And then behind the, I guess like in the front row of the Barclays Center, if you notice, they have those screens up like they had in the bubble. Not every team has those screens like behind the like scorers table or the bench area. I'm not sure which one. So like they had that with like, you know, little Nets graphics. And man, KD comes out and you see KD like as they're dapping up and the tip off is about to go on. And you see, I just haven't seen him in so long. You see KD in a jersey, but it's not a blue and yellow jersey. It's our colors. It's black and white. And he's got the signature nappy roots, the peasy head with the bald spot. Like talk about a guy that like doesn't care. Talk about like no fucks given. Like KD comes out there with the nappy head peas with the bald spot in the middle. Like, yo, don't watch my head, watch my game. Like, don't be worried about my hair. I'm about to ball out. And he did. That first dunk had me like geeked up. I was like, wow, this is real. And then Kyrie, bro, just watching Kyrie, like Kyrie's going to get his shot off. I think that dude, what was it? Nieto? Like that dude was cooked. Neto. I'm like,
it was Raul Neto.
Raul Neto's little ass.
He was cooking him the whole game. He cooked everyone that went in his face the whole game.
Barbecue chicken. What else did I have from aesthetics, man? I don't know, bro. Kyrie, I'm just watching. Kyrie he's always in his bag. Like he's never not in his bag.
Deep in his bag.
Like he
never going shallow.
He will pull out different tricks, moves, head fakes, hezzies, dribble, boom, boom, tween, all that. I'm like, man, like the thing about Kyrie is he's healthy, he's rested, he ain't played in a long time, and I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and so does KD, and they're looking for revenge. And I liked all of it. I'll pass it back to you, Hudson, to talk about the game or anything else that you had from the first preseason game, because the game is one thing, you know, it doesn't really matter too much. I enjoyed watching our depth. Like, yo, we've got hella players. Like, this is different. This isn't Spencer and Karras and like those guys. Like Karras didn't even play. Like, I just am pumped that we have Landry Shamet. We didn't even see Bruce Brown. TLC, Taurean Prince played well. DeAndre Jordan, who I've definitely shitted on this pod. DeAndre Jordan, like, he's going to look different with KD throwing him passes. He's going to look different with KD and Kyrie on the court than he did last year. What else you got, Hudson?
Man, I got to cut you off right there. You said even DeAndre Jordan. I knew it was going to be a bad take. DeAndre Jordan, I had other things I wanted to say. DeAndre Jordan is old and slow. Oh my God, that man has cement in his shoes.
He'll be all right with them, though.
The Nets have the same problem that they had last season. And I know it's only a preseason game, so who knows? Maybe they fix it. No one closes out on 3-point shooters. Even Jared Allen, and I love Jared Allen. He wasn't able to get out there to stop 3-point shooters, people shooting from the baseline. And then, what's his name? The big man for the Wizards that can shoot all those threes.
Hachimura?
No. Oh man, no. He's not a rookie. I forget his name.
Thomas Bryant.
He cooked the Nets last year, cooked them again this year. I know it's a preseason game, but we cannot close out on those. And that's why I like someone like Reggie Perry, a small ball 5, maybe even a 4 in some sets. He can close out. He's big. He's fast. Let's talk about Reggie Perry now. We had him on the podcast. He talked about, what it was like going out there, taking his first shot, hitting that little mid-range shot from the top of the key. Beautiful. He played well, and I liked what I saw from him. He played hard. He played well. And, man, it was just overall exciting. The stage wasn't too big. And Landry Shamet. That, I'm branding it right now after one preseason game. I don't care. That is a Sean Marks steal. That's a Sean Marks steal. That man can shoot the lights out of the ball. And him on the second unit, when we have Joe Harris in the first unit, we're not dropping off shooting. We're not missing threes. We're not missing open threes. And think about what we talked about in the bubble. When we were led by Karras and we didn't have anyone else, we said, okay, I need someone who can hit threes guaranteed. It was Joe Harris till he had to dip out early. Now we have in that second unit, we have a three-point shooter. We have Landry Shamet, and I expect him to get big minutes, and I'm excited to see him play big minutes. Some other notes I had, obviously, I like Spencer Dinwiddie starting there. That was interesting. I really didn't have any issues with it. He seemed fine. He looked healthy. He looked ready to go. And, I had one more thing. Jared Allen. Steve Nash said he wasn't sure if Jared Allen was going to start or play second team minutes. I don't really care because the first and second team to me is just 1A, 1B. This is like that year Kentucky went out and ran that, the gold squad and the white squad or whatever they did when they had 10 5-stars coming in that one class in the early 2010s. I just want him to get minutes because we need to either get him minutes or get him out of here while he still has potential. And I think he has potential, and I think he certainly has more potential than an aging, slow DeAndre Jordan. So I hope we can get him some minutes. I also hope we can get Bruce Brown some minutes. I know it shows how good our depth is that we didn't even get to play him. But, man, Bruce Brown, I'm excited to see him play. He can play some real good defense, and I know the Nets need that.
Yeah. DeAndre Jordan is the same age as I am. And he is in what year is he in? He came in the league in 2008. So he's a 12-year veteran, might be his 13th year. I don't expect him to be like, we have Jared Allen. What I said is like his dreads got a little bit longer. He's a vegan. Maybe he had a good long break. I think he's going to look different out there to us with KD and Kyrie on the floor. They also, wanted him to come here. Like he came here because of them, I believe. That's why we end up taking on his contract. But Jared Allen should be the guy. And I think putting DeAndre Jordan as a starter in the beginning is going to challenge Jared Allen to be like, yo, bro, if you want to take that job, like it's there to go take it from the old man. Like you're supposed to be the young guy, the fro. You're supposed to be the guy out here. He missed a couple of foul shots, and I was like, come on, because he was better in the bubble. Like in the bubble, I was pleasantly surprised to see Jared Allen hit his free throws, and he was 50% in preseason. But it is preseason. And one other thing, like you mentioned, we got shooters, right? You heard Reggie Perry say, what's your first NBA bucket? And he's probably a 3, probably waiting to get that pass when everybody is on KD and Kyrie, knocked out an open 3. TLC, aka TL3, as dubbed by Hudson Flynn. TLC can do that. We already talked about Landry Shamet, but Taurean Prince was 3 for 4. Taurean Prince is another guy that didn't go to the bubble. He talked about getting to spend more time than ever in his career with his family. Maybe that helped him. And especially now with us not leaning on him, like him not being a starter and us expecting him to come in like we did last year. We were expecting him to drop 15, 20 points a night, and he couldn't always do it. I think he'll be better suited. And then old man Jeff Green is out there too, getting some minutes. And, he'll be ready to shoot it when it comes time. I think we have an embarrassment of riches. I think this team is extremely deep, and other teams are probably envious of our depth. Like I said, Karras didn't play. Bruce Brown didn't play. Nick Claxton didn't play. Jeremiah
Like I said in the open, the Nets have depth, and depth wins championships.
Absolutely. All right, so what do we got here to try and wrap this thing up? I see you put in the notes, should Karras play the Manu role as the 6th man running the second unit?
Leading that second unit. That's what people are talking about. That's what Nash might have mentioned. They think he might be better, being able to, captain that second unit and have to hand the ball in his hands more than he would if Kyrie and KD are on the court. And, I won't go too much into it because, this is becoming a pretty long podcast, but I think he would play absolutely great in that role. And I think that he should, because he is someone who plays well with the ball in his hands and works that little shimmy post fade and all that stuff he does in the mid-range game, his best when he's the leader, when he can go out and do it. And his game isn't catch and shoot 3-pointers, which is really what, a Kyrie KD duo on the court kind of caters to.
Karras. So Karras also signed with Jordan Brand. That was announced this week. And then that pretty much made my decision when I saw that, I need another jersey, and I've been trying to get a number 22 Karras jersey. One, I wanted to make sure he wasn't traded. Two, I got to see what style I want to get it in because I have now the statement jerseys. I'm wearing the hardwood classic, like 91 throwback. Obviously, I have the black. But Kara signs with Jumpman. And then the Nets announced the statement jerseys with the Jumpman logo. So I'm like, okay, now I got to get a Jumpman gray statement jersey, number 22 with Levert on the back, and then some gray and black J's to match. I used to have some threes that would match, but I thought that was cool. And that's a good way to segue into what's next. What's next is Friday, Celtics in Boston. We talked to Reggie Perry about that. Karras will play in that game. And you all know what Karras did last time he was in TD Garden. And I just have like, I don't know. There's a rivalry. There's a hatred. There's just a thing that I have with Boston, their media, their fans, the where is Kyrie? Like that'll never get out of my head. And I know it's just preseason, but I expect the Nets to go in there and kind of bust them up a little bit and kind of set the tone like, hey, we're going to be doing this for the next few months. It's going to look a little different. We battled y'all with Karras and Chioza. It's going to look a little different.
I expect Kyrie to do it.
Yeah, I expect
Kyrie to do it.
All eyes on Kyrie, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if he's coming out and he's going to shoot 7 of 9, 18 points in the first half of our first preseason game, imagine him with a little extra motivation, a little extra dig under him, going out playing against Boston. That's going to be something to watch. But let me tell you, I don't even think he's going to go all the way into his bag because we're playing them the next game on the 22nd. And that is the game that everyone's got circled on their calendars. It's the home opener or the opener. It's obviously Kyrie against his old team, but man, I'm just excited to see him go out and play in the TD Garden and show Celtics fans, the Celtics organization, and everybody involved, all the national media, everybody, that Kyrie, he didn't go anywhere. He's back.
No, he definitely did not go anywhere. He's right here. I pray for health. Let me say that on the pod. I am already praying for the Nets to stay healthy. Please just stay healthy and let us get this season in without losing KD, without losing Kyrie or any of our depth pieces. So, yeah, like Hudson said, we got Boston Friday, December 25th. Wait, no, that's regular season I'm looking at. So that we play them. Okay, so we play them back-to-back Fridays. We play them on the 18th, and then we play them again at Boston, which will be on ABC on Christmas, nationally televised. All right, let's wrap this thing up quickly, man, because we're over an hour. We're approaching an hour and 10 minutes. Last segment is what else? Anything else we can add? And what I'd like to add as a Nets fan and Yankee fan, like Hudson is a Nets fan, Yankee fan, as most people at John Boy Media are Yankee fans. Ryan Ruocco announced on the broadcast that CC Sabathia would be joining the Nets on Yes Crew. He's going to make his NBA analysis. Or no, what am I saying? He's going to make his NBA analyst debut at 8 p.m. Friday on Nets with Sarah Kustok, Michael Grady. I love this. Like, I love this. And this, I mean, I know we got to wrap it up, but I love this because CC Sabathia gets this respect. I love it because it's challenging traditional norms. I love it because it's the Yes Network getting the attention of Yankee fans that I've been saying my entire life. Nets fans, Yankee fans, there's synergy here. Nets fans should be Yankee fans. They play on the same channel. Now, CC Sabathia, who has stated that he's rocking with the Nets, he's a Nets fan, is going to be on the broadcast, and CC tweets, now I'll put on a suit for that. Bro, man, this is going to be cool.
We saw CC in the virtual seats with us.
Yes.
In our section when we
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was
playing
fun.
in the bubble. When we saw that, we knew CC was going to be doing it with the Nets, and man, I'm excited. It's going to be like a live episode of R2C2. It's going to be amazing.
It is. I have to get Talkin Yanks on that to clip some stuff up because we are going to keep growing. Talkin Nets, Talkin Yanks, the Yankee fans, Nets fans, maybe pulling some Yankee fans this way that don't really have a team or that don't really want to rock with the Knicks anymore. It's our world. It's Nets world. And last but not least, I got to throw out there what else? What's on? The Rain Man and the Glove premieres tonight at 8 o'clock. So in like 2.5 hours from now, 2 hours and 15 minutes. You should watch that. That was honestly like when I first started really getting into the NBA, and I don't care that I'm dating myself at all, was when the Bulls were playing the Supersonics, the Seattle Supersonics. When Kemp and Peyton were going up against Michael Jordan and Pippen, the Rain Man and the Glove, and they don't even have a team out there in Seattle anymore. Connection, obviously, is your boy KD was drafted by that team. Watch that for you young bucks listening. NBA TV tonight, the Rain Man and the Glove. I'm sure you can find it this weekend if you don't catch it tonight. Plus, this pod probably won't be out till it's about to come on, but get you some NBA history. And it's not too far back history. It's like late 90s history. I'm looking forward to that tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't forget about our boy Jeff Green, member of that same team.
Green also.
That same
yes.
Sonics team. Yes, yes. But
All
man,
right.
honestly, all I got for what's on is we got a review and we're excited to read it to you. Keith?
Yeah, I can read the review, or you can read it if you want to. It's in the notes. I'm trying to make sure we didn't get any voicemails. Let me read this from our guy Dylan, who Dylan will be receiving a Talkin Nets hoodie. And honestly, I should have been more specific about what you could get from the store. I was like, yeah, pick anything. Nah, pick a t-shirt, man. I was talking to Bill, BTS Bill. I was like, yo, I kind of owe a fan a hoodie, and I'm not trying to pay full like $45 for the hoodie and shipping full price. I was able to use my employee discount on it. I sent it to Dylan because he reached out to us and sent us his review. And now I'd like to read it for you. Dylan writes, great podcast. Love the pod. The calm before the storm was a great episode. Keith and Hudson together, great pairing, great analyst or great analysis. Why can't I say analysis or analyst? I don't know. I'm getting tripped up by that. That just happened to me with Cece. Great analysis. 5 stars. And you should also write a review and leave us 5 stars. It helps us look better when we are pitching the pod to a Reggie Perry or to any other potential person coming on the pod, whether it's a Yes Network person or a player. They all are going to check out the pod and they're going to look and they're going to say, man, you guys don't have that many ratings. You guys don't have that many reviews. And it's like, yeah, we just started this in October of last year. We're building still. And we need you to help us out. If you like what you hear, if you like me, you like Hudson, and you want to see Talkin Nets continue, write that review. Leave us a voicemail. I just checked the voicemails. No one called, but I know that's going to change once the game starts because people are going to have a lot to say. The voicemail number is 201-870-0461. Call up, say what you like, say something nice. Try and keep it under a minute. Make sure you follow us on social media. First, I'll say follow John Boy Media, the brand, the empire. I know some of y'all saw what we did last week with the winter meetings. Like, it's real. Follow John Boy Media across platforms. You should already be linked in. You should already be following the gang. Follow at Talkin Nets. We told you to do that earlier in the episode because that's where we really start talking about the news as it breaks. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, in that order. I would say I'm just getting the Facebook rolling. Hudson Flynn, where can the people follow you?
They can follow me at Hudson Flynn _, but for real, follow the Talkin Nets Twitter. If you're going to follow anything, follow the Talkin Nets Twitter. We're putting a lot of good stuff, a lot of good content, a lot of good analysis, a lot of good clips. And I was looking around during the preseason game on some of the other Twitter accounts, and there's a lot of good accounts on Nets Twitter, but I don't think anyone's putting out the same kind of content that we are. And I don't think anyone's doing the same kind of stuff that we are. So give us a follow.
And that's fine. Everyone's got their own lane. And I like how you said analysis. You're a good analyst with your analysis. Now I can say it. We're not analysts. We're fans. And we're the voice of the fans. Just like you guys listening. We're regular guys like you. And we're actually adding some more fans. The Talkin Nets team is growing, which we need because this is really just me and Hudson. And as the season starts, we're going to expand. So shout out to all the people that hit us up about the intern thing too. I'm working on it. We're going to bring a couple people on. Subscribe, rate, and review the pod. Again, you can follow me if you want at Keith McPherson. I'm authentic, real name, no gimmicks. And that's all we got. This episode has probably been one of our longest episodes of all time. And It's the last episode before we see KD, Kyrie, and your Brooklyn Nets in a game that actually matters on the road to the finals. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn.